Here is something most doctors never tell you. By the time you sit down for breakfast, your body has already been doing something remarkable for hours. Burning fat, repairing damaged cells, clearing brain fog, resetting your metabolism from the inside. And the moment you eat, you stop it completely. Not because breakfast is bad, but because the biology happening before that first meal is far more powerful than most people realize, and almost nobody is talking about it. There is a window, a specific stretch of hours where your body switches fuel sources, activates its own internal cleaning crew, releases hormones that protect your muscle and accelerate fat loss, and does something to your brain that no cup of coffee can replicate. That window exists every morning. And for most people, it gets cut short before it has a chance to finish. What happens when you let it run until noon? That is exactly what this video is going to show you, hour by hour, system by system. Because once you understand what your body is actually doing during those morning hours, the decision to wait until noon to eat stops feeling like deprivation. It starts feeling like the most intelligent thing you can do for your metabolism every single day. The hormone most people underestimate. Every time you eat, blood sugar rises. Every time blood sugar rises, insulin rises in response. Its job is to move energy out of the bloodstream and into storage, into fat cells, into muscle, into the liver. And while insulin is elevated, one thing becomes biologically very difficult: burning stored body fat. Imagine your body fat is locked inside a warehouse. Insulin is the security system on that building. While the system is armed, the doors do not open. The body cannot access stored energy. It burns only the incoming food it just received. If you eat breakfast at 7, snack at 10, lunch at noon, something in the afternoon, and dinner at 6, insulin has almost no time to return to baseline. The security system is never disarmed. Stored body fat sits completely untouched. When you fast until noon, you give insulin the time it needs to fall low enough for those doors to open. And what follows is a cascade of biological changes most people never experience because they keep eating before the process can complete. What happens through the night? For a noon faster, the fast begins at dinner the evening before. The first few hours after your last meal, the body is focused entirely on digestion. Insulin is elevated. The liver converts excess glucose into glycogen. Several hours later, insulin begins returning toward baseline. Another hormone quietly takes over: glucagon. If insulin is the hormone of storage, glucagon is the hormone of release. As insulin drops, glucagon signals the liver to release stored glycogen to fuel your brain through the night. Not from incoming food, from reserves. Your body was never designed to need food every few hours. It has its own fuel management system, and constant eating prevents it from doing its job. When fat burning begins. By 5 to 8 hours into the fast, the liver's glycogen stores are running lower. As those reserves drop, the body starts increasing its reliance on stored body fat. Inside your fat cells sits an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase. When insulin was elevated, this enzyme was suppressed. Now it becomes increasingly active. Fat cells begin loosening their grip. Stored triglycerides are broken apart. Fatty acids enter the bloodstream, and the body begins genuinely burning stored body fat for energy. Not because of willpower, not because of a diet, because the hormonal environment has finally allowed it. For people who eat frequently and eat again immediately upon waking, this stage is rarely reached. The fasting window is too short. The body barely begins the transition before insulin rises and the process resets. For someone consistently fasting until noon, this transition happens every single morning. Daily biological routine. The metabolic switch. Somewhere between 7 and 12 hours into the fast, something researchers call the metabolic switch occurs. This is the moment your body transitions from running primarily on glucose to running significantly on fat and ketones. The liver begins converting fatty acids into molecules called ketone bodies. These ketones can cross the blood-brain barrier and directly fuel your brain. Only hours ago, your brain was almost entirely dependent on glucose. Now it begins running on a different, extraordinarily efficient fuel source. And this shift comes with experiences almost nobody connects to metabolism. Thoughts become clearer, focus sharpens, a calm, steady mental energy arrives, not the jittery energy of caffeine, a quieter clarity. The brain stops receiving rapidly fluctuating glucose signals and runs on a more stable supply. The spikes and crashes that many people blame on poor sleep begin smoothing out. This is metabolic flexibility, the body doing exactly what it was designed to do once the hormonal environment allows it. Autophagy, the body cleaning itself. Around the 12 to 16 hour mark, a cellular process called autophagy begins accelerating. The word means self-eating, which sounds alarming until you understand what is actually happening. This is not the body destroying itself, it is the body cleaning itself. Every day, your cells accumulate damage, misfolded proteins, worn-out mitochondria, inflammatory debris. Under normal circumstances, much of this lingers because the body stays focused on processing incoming food. The maintenance crew never gets called in because the building is always busy. When fasting continues long enough, a cellular pathway called mTOR quiets down. And when mTOR becomes less active, the body's repair systems finally get permission to work. Damaged components get identified, dismantled, and recycled into materials the body can use again. Researchers have found connections between poor autophagy and accelerated aging, metabolic disease, and chronic inflammation. For someone fasting until noon, this cleaning process runs every morning as a built-in part of the daily rhythm. Less stiffness, less inflammation, digestion that settles more easily. Growth hormone and the muscle myth. At the same time, another process directly contradicts one of the most persistent myths about fasting. Most people assume going without food causes muscle breakdown, that the body, desperate for fuel, starts consuming its own lean tissue. This is not what the science shows for short-term fasting windows. As insulin falls, growth hormone secretion increases significantly, doing two critical things simultaneously. It mobilizes stored fat more aggressively for energy, and it actively protects lean muscle from breakdown. This is why many people report morning workouts during fasting feel surprisingly strong. Norepinephrine, the neurotransmitter involved in focus and alertness, also rises during fasting. The brain and body become more alert, not less, because historically, humans needed sharp minds and capable bodies during periods when food was unavailable. The gut gets to rest. When food arrives constantly from early morning through late night, the gut stays in active processing mode almost continuously. It never fully recovers. During fasting, a process called the migrating motor complex activates. This is the gut's internal cleaning wave, a rhythmic sweeping contraction that moves through the small intestine, clearing leftover debris and bacterial buildup. The critical detail is this: the migrating motor complex only activates in a fasted state. Even small amounts of food interrupt it, which may explain why people who graze constantly experience bloating, gas, and irregular digestion. The cleaning cycle never fully completes. Many people who begin noon fasting notice improvements almost immediately. Digestion feels calmer, morning bloating decreases. The gut finally had enough uninterrupted time to clean itself. What changes after weeks of consistency? Insulin sensitivity improves measurably. Researchers studying time-restricted eating have found improvements in fasting insulin and blood sugar regulation, often without any changes in caloric intake. Narrowing the eating window shifts the metabolic baseline. Hunger patterns genuinely reorganize. Ghrelin, the hormone most closely linked to hunger, is heavily influenced by habit and timing. If you have eaten breakfast at 7 every morning for years, your body releases ghrelin at 7 because it expects food. But ghrelin adapts. Within weeks, morning hunger becomes much quieter. Many people reach the second or third week and realize they are simply no longer hungry before noon because the body has stopped expecting food at that time. Body composition shifts beyond simple weight reduction. Less muscle loss, more reduction in visible belly fat, particularly the dangerous visceral fat deep around the organs. Because of the hormonal environment fasting creates. More growth hormone, lower chronic insulin, more consistent fat oxidation. The body was built for this. Nothing described in this video is unnatural. Every single process, the metabolic switch, autophagy, growth hormone release, improved insulin sensitivity, every one of these is a built-in biological system, hardwired into human biology, designed to activate during exactly the fasting window that noon fasting creates. These systems were not invented by modern health research. They were discovered by it. Always there. Long before breakfast cereal existed, long before eating within an hour of waking became a rule. What fasting until noon does is not force the body into something foreign. It gives the body space to do what it already knows how to do. Your body is not broken. In many cases, it is simply a body that has not been given a long enough fasting window for its most powerful systems to fully activate.
And sometimes the most important change you can make is not adding something new. It is stopping something a little sooner the night before and waiting a little longer the next morning. The science of what happens in that window is more remarkable than most people realize.